Today's passage is Micah chapter 5 verses 2 to 5a. Now this is a passage where even if you don't know the minor prophets very well, you will recognise this passage because it forms part of the Christmas story in Matthew's Gospel. It's a messianic prophecy about Jesus being born in Bethlehem and how he's from ancient times or eternity is the literal translation, so highlighting the divinity of Jesus. And what I'd like to focus on today is looking at what we can learn from Bethlehem. The fact that it says here that Bethlehem is small amongst the tribes of Judah. This was not a major town, a major city, not like Jerusalem. It was a small place. But yet out of it came a great ruler. In fact, two great rulers, of course, because King David was from Bethlehem. He was a prototype of Jesus. And then Jesus himself was born in Bethlehem. And I think there's a theme that links all these together that we can learn from. Because when we look at the story of David, we see Samuel being sent by God to the house of Jesse, who lived in Bethlehem, to choose a new king. He said, "You will anoint one of his sons as king." So Samuel turns up and he meets Eliab, presumably the eldest. And he says, "Surely the Lord's anointed is before me." And God says, "No. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." And so all Jesse's sons were wheeled before Samuel, and he said, "Surely this is it." "Nope." "Surely it's him." "Nope." And finally he said, "Is that it? Been through them all. Sure, there must be another one." And they said, "Well, there's David, the little fella, but he'll be out in the fields singing to his sheep. I need to see David." So in comes David. God says, "This is the guy." And then we look at Jesus. You know, here is our God, the King of Kings, Emmanuel, God with us, the Messiah. He's not born in a palace. He's not born in the temple. He's born to an ordinary working class family in a stable. This is our God, our King. Humble origins. And in fact, Isaiah 53, another messianic prophecy, says that there was nothing in his appearance of beauty or majesty that we should desire him. In terms of outward appearance, Jesus wasn't much to look at. You know, this is Bethlehem. These are the rulers that came from Bethlehem. They run to the litter in David, and Jesus, the King of Kings, born in very, very humble circumstances. And you know, I think the things that we can learn from this, you know, today we have a real celebrity culture, don't we? You know, we worship celebrity, fame and glitz and glamour. And you know, the church isn't immune from that. We can have a bit of a celebrity culture in church with pastors or ministers or worship leaders. And one of the problems is that all too often lately we've seen some of them fall. Morally, financially, in the leadership, in the theology, they've fallen away from truth and into heresy. And that can be very damaging and painful if we follow those people too much, too closely. And so the lessons that we can learn here are to ask for God's wisdom and discernment. When we're looking for where God is and what's true and what's right, let's ask for God's discernment to see beyond the outward appearance so that we don't end up being seduced by success or captivated by charisma or taken in by talent. Now look, you can be successful, charismatic and talented and still be good. I mean, look at me. But let's not be taken in by the mere outward appearance, but let's ask God for wisdom and discernment. But you know, the flip side is also true, that not just we can be taken in by those things, but we can miss what God is doing if we overlook the ordinary, if we undervalue the underwhelming, and if we miss the mundane. And so I want, for me, to have the wisdom and discernment from God to see beyond the outward appearance. You know, we can't judge a man's heart, but God can. And if we ask his wisdom and discernment, it can help us to avoid those pitfalls. So we don't find ourselves choosing Eliab and missing David, or going for Jerusalem or Rome and missing Bethlehem. And perhaps more importantly, when we're looking for Jesus, we don't look for him just in the glitz and the glamour and the polish and the sheen. And in doing so, miss the stable.